Hey, 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 everybody. It's Valerie R. Brooks again, and welcome back. Again, I'm Valerie R. Brooks, the owner of Valerie R. Brooks Real Estate and Business Academy. If this is your first time joining, I am very glad that you're here. Well, actually, I'm glad everybody's here. And before we get going, I want to share a story with you guys. You know how I always start off with a story, and this one is wow is all I can say about it. But I was in Publix yesterday when I saw an older woman. She was beautifully dressed, very pretty, elegant. Probably in her mid 70s. Her hair was done. Her outfit was coordinated, and she carried herself with so much grace. I couldn't help but look at her. But when I looked at her, I noticed something about her body language, and that caught my eyes. Um, she looked hesitant. She looked confused. Her walk was like very careful, and she was started talking with another woman, and I could see that she was trying to get information. And although I could see the woman trying to help her, y'all, I could see the disconnect in her eyes. Now I know what disconnect looks like. I've been there. I know what it's like to look polished on the outside while your internal world feels like it's just falling apart. It's unraveling. So I know that feeling. I know that look, and I saw it on that woman. And because listen, I remember walking into rooms looking, put together, coordinated, sharp, whatever word you want to use. Uh, I looked good, but inside I felt lost, like foggy, disconnected from myself. Well, the lady at Publix and I ended up walking out of the store together, and I gently asked her if she got the information she needed. And she hesitated and said, well, kind of, sort of, actually, no. So I offered to help. I asked her, what is it that you need? So she showed me an address. She said, this is where I'm trying to get. And it was Charlotte Radiology. So I put Charlotte Radiology in my map, and I saw that we would have to go through about 5 roundabouts. And I knew if that woman was to go through 5 roundabouts and she's new to this area or not know this area and she's confused, I knew she wouldn't make it. So I said to her, it's just about a mile away, but there are about 5 roundabouts that we have to go through. And if you're not used to them, they will throw you off. And traffic was bad, guys. It was bad. She would not have made it, y'all. I promise you that. So I asked her if she wanted to follow me, if she'd be okay following me, because I wanted her to get there. And oh my God, she was so confused looking, but she held it together. She really did. So she followed me, and when we got there, I parked and she parked. I got out and I offered to walk her to the entrance because it was kind of complicated as to how we got there, how we would get there. So before we parted, I gave her my name and number just in case she got lost on the way back. And that's when she looked at my name and said, Valerie R. Brooks, are you in real estate? And I said, yes. And she said, oh my God, I've heard so much about you. You're so amazing, Valerie. You know what? This must be divine order. I've been thinking about selling my house. Now, I share that story not because of the real estate moment, but because I recognized her confusion. And remember, we talked about that last week? I recognized her fear. I recognized what was going on beneath the polished exterior. Because remember, for nearly a year, I didn't trust my memory. I knew what it felt like to feel lost, to look great on the outside, but just silently in turmoil on the inside. And that's what a brain injury taught me. And not everything is visible. That confusion doesn't always look like chaos. Chaos looks like chaos. I experienced some of that yesterday as well. And that sometimes the strongest looking people are quietly struggling to keep it all together. Now, we talked about the silver lining in my rewiring of my brain. This is one of the silver linings of going through something so painful. It gives you eyes to see what others overlook. It gives you compassion that can't be taught. This is only earned through the fire. And it reminds you that even when life rewires your brain, it can also reset your purpose. When life rewires your brain, and life can rewire your brain not necessarily through a brain injury. Life can rewire your brain through any kind of trauma. Okay? But just remember, it can also reset your purpose. Yeah, y'all got that? Yeah? Okay. So let's get going. Last time in part one of Brain Rewire, the silver lining of my brain injury. See, I have a hard time saying rewired. It's like the R and the W just want to fight each other. I shared my journey last week of recovering from a traumatic brain injury and how it impacted me. And it was right after my mom's passing. And I learned so much about the brain. I learned how fear, healing, and identity, it kind of all collided. It was fighting each other. There was a battle going on inside my brain, inside my head. And I also talked about how something that looked invisible from the outside, completely transformed how I functioned, how I thought, how I felt inside, and how understanding the brain, it became not just a part of my recovery, but a new passion and a new purpose. I've learned so much about the brain. And one of the most important things I've learned, we talked about it last week, but we never did get a chance to get to the question. So I have to let you know what we talked about. But I learned something about the brain. It was about a tiny, powerful part of the brain. And like I said last week, it's almond shaped, really, really small, but it's powerful. And it plays a huge role in how we experience fear, safety, and even growth. It's called the amygdala. It's a little almond shaped part of your brain deep in the center, and its job is to protect you. The amygdala does not ask questions, it doesn't analyze, it just immediately reacts. It's saying, I got you, I'm going to protect you. It's like a motion detector. Even the lightest, tiniest movement can flip the switch. And so if that light is switched or flipped, that motion detector is saying, I'm on. I'm on because I told you I would be on. I'm protecting you. So after my injury, my amygdala was constantly on high alert. It's like a dog barking at the mailman. I heard a dog barking at something last night. Just barking, barking, barking. And it doesn't know if the mailman is dangerous. It just wants to alert the house. It's a mailman out here. Be careful. He's dangerous. I'm letting you know. That's what the amygdala does. So I saw everything as a potential threat. When I walk into a busy room, it was like a battlefield. My eyes would scan the room and I just get nervous. And a simple conversation was so overwhelming. Driving felt like a landmine. My brain meant well. It was trying to protect me. But the problem is the amygdala doesn't know when the threat is over. It just keeps barking. It keeps detecting. I mean, look at it like this. It's your built-in bodyguard saying no to every thought or opportunity. That's what it is. And I had a friend that always reacted to the no. And I used to wonder about that. And now that I know why, It helps me to see her a little differently. But here's the thing: this happens to all of us at times, right? Trauma, stress, anxiety, they can all trigger the amygdala, and it can trigger it to react before our thinking brain has a chance to respond. But the good news is we can retrain it. We can rewire our brain. We can learn to say, thank you for the warning. You can name your amygdala. Um, I just call it the amygdala. Thank you for the warning, but I got this. I got this. And that's the heart of rewiring. So I'm going to answer questions today because last week it was so much fun that I think we only got an opportunity to answer about 2 questions, but we had about 15 and we had some more to come in. And so here goes. Um, oh my goodness. Thank you, Sylvester. Sylvester says serendipity is a design and principle that destiny operates from. Valerie, you're amazing for being vulnerable enough to reach us, your audience. Powerful. And you know what? Being vulnerable, I've learned recently, Sylvester, that being vulnerable is brave. I was told that just yesterday. A lot of people do not want to be vulnerable simply because people can take advantage of vulnerability, but they're the fools, not you. Don't let it stop you from being vulnerable. You just have to be careful with showing your vulnerability to everyone. See, that amygdala will tell you don't be vulnerable to anyone. I'm saying I don't think you should be vulnerable to everyone. Not everybody deserves their vulnerability up close and personal. Margaret, when life rewires your brain throughout any kind of trauma, you can still teach people. There you go. And that's what I am. I'm there, Margaret. I'm there. Now, I have another question. Valerie, will everyone understand what I'm going through when I'm going through trauma and my brain is hurting? Wow. No. The answer to that, that's the hardest part. Not everyone will understand, but that's okay. They don't have to understand because it's not them. It's not their trauma. So healing from a brain injury or any invisible experience, like grief is invisible, okay? It's personal. It really belongs to you. And you just have to understand that. See, now, unless someone has walked through it, it can really be hard to get. And I understand that. My estate attorney has experienced it, and we have a very natural bond. She went through a car accident, a brain injury, and it's amazing how we can talk and get each other. Now, some people will try, but others won't, but they will not. But your job isn't to make everyone understand. Your job is to keep healing, whether they do or not. And I learned that the hard way. I wanted everyone to understand. But if you don't have a gaping hole, if you're not walking with a visible limp, if your finger's not cut off, you're fine. That's what everybody thinks. You're fine. When my huge swollen face went down, everybody thought it was over. They couldn't see the bruises on my left side, and they couldn't see what was going on inside my head. And I still get fears sometimes. And I will talk about that later. I'm going to go to question 2. Oh, well, this is a good one. What if fear keeps showing up? I was just getting ready to say that fear will show up. And that doesn't mean you're failing. It means your brain is doing what it was wired to do, protect you. Just tell your brain, like I said, name that amygdala. Let's see, I'm going to name mine trouble. I'm going to call my amygdala trouble. I'm going to say to myself that almond shine, the amygdala trouble. I'm going to call it trouble. Trouble is very small, and you're much bigger than it. Okay. You can overpower trouble. It's just this little, about this little. Okay. But the key is learning. You got to stop and say, this is fear talking. This is discomfort, not danger. This is discomfort, not danger. And again, I still get scared sometimes, but now I know how to answer it with calm instead of panic. Not 100%, right? Not 100%, but I get better by the day, much better by the day. Okay. The other question, do you ever feel like giving up? Yes, so many times I did. Not now, but when everything was in the beginning and everything was so shaken up and confusion was my middle name. Uh, Fear was my first name, and my last name was doubt. Okay. Um, but I would remind myself that giving up would not take the pain away. If I'd given up, I'd still be hurting. I remember once when I was a young girl, my mom and dad taught me great work ethic. And I was working, I was in high school, and I didn't want to go to work. So I told my mom, I said, Mom, I have a headache. I don't want to go to work. And she said, you'll still have that same headache at work that you'll have at home. That was a profound lesson to me. You'll still have that same headache when you go to work that you have at home. So I'm saying, if you gave up, you would still have that pain. So isn't continuing to walk through and get to healing much better than giving up, since the pain is going to be there. And it would only stop the healing. And I know how that is. I sometimes it was just hard getting out of the bed or showing up to a session, But when I did, that was the win. When I did, that was the win. I stopped chasing perfection. I stopped chasing perfection. I look at some of my friends and they don't understand when. Let me give you an example. I went out with a girlfriend the other night, and I had on a nice dress, but I put on my sneakers. And she's like, "Oh my God, you're not going to wear your heels?" Absolutely not. Why not? I don't feel like it. I have a new kind of freedom here. I have a new kind of freedom going on. And I'm giving away perfection. I'm free. Okay. Once you give up perfection, you'll see how that freedom is so mind blowing. It's the coolest thing ever. I promise you that. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to pick through these questions. Oh my goodness. I just talked about this earlier. How do you deal with people saying, "But Valerie, you look great"? That one can really sting sometimes because you want to feel great, but you know what's happening on the inside. You know what's going on. So I had to learn that was not a dismissal. That was them trying to comfort me. Okay. I had to learn that most people are just trying to be encouraging. And sometimes they just don't know what to say. You know, it's just like when you're going through grief, and this is your grief. And I'll just give you some words that I think people should avoid saying when one of your friends or someone that has a loved one to pass away. Is when my mom passed away, I think I heard so many other people telling me the story of their mom or their dad passing away. Not that I didn't have sympathy for them, but that wasn't my moment. That wasn't their moment to tell me. I always say to people when they're in grief, "How can I support you?" Now, that would have been some wonderful words to me. How can I support you? And most of my friends that are my friends, they said that. "What can I do, Valerie? What can I do?" And I could only say, "Just go with me. Just walk with me." And uh, one friend in particular is still walking with me. Everybody else, all my friends, are understanding, but it's hard. Um, I learned this from my girlfriend's aunt a long time ago. After a while, if you're sick and if you're sick for a while, people have to go on with their lives. Okay. That's why you have to get strong enough to understand what trouble is saying. Remember, trouble is my nickname for the amygdala. You have to get into that space where you're not worrying about what people think or upset with them because they don't understand what you're going through. Okay? You know what you're carrying. You know what you're carrying. And don't look for anyone else's validation. Okay? Let's see. Number 5, I think I don't know what number this is. How did you start driving again after being so afraid? Oh my goodness, that is a wonderful, wonderful question. I think I told you this last week. I didn't drive for almost a year, may have been a little bit over a year. My fear was strong. It was strong. Guys, I purchased a new car, sight unseen, and it sat in my driveway. I mean, in my garage. It sat there for a year and a half. A year and a half, I think, or however long it was. Um, my amygdala saw driving as danger. And every time I tried, panic would take over. So I started small. Just sometimes I would just go outside and sit in the car. I would pull it out of the garage and pull it in the driveway and just sit there. You know, I have a slight little hill to drive up. And then sometimes I'd drive up that hill and then I'd come back down. You know, just starting small. And then I take a drive around my neighborhood, just a block or so. Then I started going through the entire neighborhood. I was teaching my brain. I was teaching my brain. Let me show you what safe is. Let me show you what safe is. Driving is okay. Driving is okay. It wasn't about pushing through. It was about rewiring the fear, you know, with how I spoke to the lady in Publix the other day. You have to be gentle and you have to show your brain repeated proof of what safe is, repeated proof of what you could do and not let it take over you. Got that? All right, let's see. How do you rebuild confidence when you don't feel like yourself? Well, like you said, confidence is something you rebuild. Confidence isn't something you wait for. You don't wait for it. You have to go get it. You know, name your confidence. Hey, Happy, I want to come and get you. Come on over here with me. Let's talk to Trouble. Let's talk to Trouble and tell Trouble, hey, I know you got to be a part of my life, but I'm not going to let you take over my life. And for me, it came in tiny moments, like, you know, making a phone call and talking through, because sometimes I was avoiding the phone. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to talk. So I started making phone calls, started talking to more people. I started calling even my clients that I felt like were my friends, and we would talk. I made videos, sometimes sharing them, started sharing my journey with personal and close friends. And I found out that was really, really good. So, you know, those that you feel safe with being vulnerable to, if you don't feel like talking to them, send them a video. They loved it. I made a video where in the beginning with my face looking the way it was. I didn't put anything on social media because it wasn't for everybody else. It was for my friends and my family and for my loved ones. And then I sent a video later when my face had gone down and I said, I want to let everybody know my face is doing better. The bruises on my left side is doing better, but my brain is not. So I would let them know, you know. Shalitha Mills, yes, ma'am, you are wonderfully and beautifully made. Lady, I miss you. I would love to see you. I would really love to see you. But again, rebuilding the confidence, it was about it. Now, let me tell you what rebuilding confidence is. I told a friend of mine yesterday, or we discussed this. It's not trying to be who you were. It's not about returning to the old me. It was about trusting who I was becoming. I'm a much different person than I used to be. I have like I said earlier, I have a newfound freedom that I wish I had learned years before. You know, my hustle is over. My hustle is over. I don't hustle anymore. I live my life. And as I told you guys last week, and Margaret made a comment about it. I continue to be curious about life and learn new things. So, why do I need to go back to the old me? And why do I need to go back to the old, to giving into the amygdala? Instead of the amygdala teaching me, I'm teaching the amygdala because, see, I know what's going on now. Not always easy, not always easy. I promise you that. Let's see. How do you know when to rest and when to push yourself? Okay, that's a tough one because healing requires both. Healing requires both. So I just learned to check in with my body and ask, is this exhaustion or is it fear? Is this exhaustion or is it fear? Is it procrastination or is it being tired? Is it avoidance or is it wanting to relax and look at TV? What is this that I'm really feeling? My therapist gave me the best thing she could have ever given me, and that was the emotional wheel. You guys can look that up online. And the emotion wheel, it shows you why you're feeling. If you're feeling a certain way, it teaches you the emotion that you're dealing with, and that helped me so much. I have the best therapist in the world. Anybody needs a recommendation for a therapist, and my estate attorney that I mentioned earlier, let me know. So that is how you have to distinguish between, am I procrastinating? Am I really putting this off or am I really tired? Think about it. Think about it. All right, let's see. How do you respond when your brain says no, but you say yes? Now, this is where the rewiring really happens. Your brain will give you a list of reasons not to do the thing. If you want to take a coaching course and your brain says, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You tell him, but what if I fail? What if I fail? The brain is saying you are going to fail. I'm protecting you. And you say, you don't know me like that. I don't think I'm going to fail. I think I'm going to take this coaching course. Or if you want to start an annuity, don't do that. You don't know anything about stocks. Don't do that. You don't know anything about stocks. But I can learn. I can get me a financial advisor who knows. So when that brain tells you no, you just tell them, look, trouble. Look, trouble. My name is, what did I name myself? I forgot what my name is. My name is Happy. This is Happy standing here. I got this. You rewire that brain. Rewire that little bitty almond shaped piece of your brain. You're bigger than it. You're bigger than it. Okay? You can thank your brain in that moment. You can say, thank you, brain, for trying to protect me, but I am choosing to grow. And you have to say it louder than the amygdala, because that amygdala could be loud. Don't you do that. Valerie, don't you try to drive. You may have another accident. Don't drive, Valerie. These people out here don't know how to drive, and somebody may hit you again. Don't drive, Valerie. It's loud out there, and you know you're not taking loud noises. I'm bigger than that. I'm bigger than that. The last question, because we're running out of time. What's your advice for someone starting their own brain healing journey? Love on yourself and love on others that deserve your love, your time, a piece of you. Okay? Oh, wait. I want to answer this question. What was the most surprising challenge you faced during your brain injury recovery? And how did you overcome it using cognitive therapy strategies? The most surprising challenge was how much mental energy even the smallest things require. I used to operate with auto thought. I was able to accomplish just about all my thoughts. And I didn't think about it. Like things like writing an email became challenging to me. Organizing my calendar, oh my God, that was so bad. And it felt like climbing a mountain. And it just made me so tired. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. When you're tired and the normal things wear you out. That was so surprising. That was the surprising challenge to me. And my speech pathologist taught me how to use visual checklists. And this is the truth. This is the best thing she ever told me. She said, Valerie, just write them down. Just write them down and get to them when you can. And I did that. And it just started flowing. And I also learned the power of externalizing my thoughts, writing them down, mapping them out. That freed up space in my mind and made things more manageable. So over time, y'all, my brain began to trust that I could handle things again, just not all at once. And you know what? It's really not healthy to handle things all at once anyway. It's not healthy. And let me tell you the best thing that has come out of my brain retraining. My relationship with my daughter, my grandkids, my goddaughter that's over here, it's like on steroids. It's just, my relationship with my sister, all my friends that are my friends, it has just gone to a new level because they are learning from my injury because they see a new me, a new Valerie. Of course, the old Valerie, there are remnants of the old Valerie, but I will tell you about 90% of myself is new. Now, in my real estate world, it is certainly a plus because I always teach my agents that you have to teach clients how to treat you. And my brain can easily teach clients how to teach me on a daily. I simply say, no, my brain is not going to work with that. This is how it's going to happen. This is how we're going to roll. Like Sierra, is that her name? Sierra and Chris Brown, this is how we roll. This is how we roll. Because healing is not about going back to who you were. Like I said, it's about becoming someone stronger, someone wiser. You don't have to rush it. Took me almost 3 years to get to where I am now. But I'm so glad. I'll just go back to this, that I built a sustainable business. I'm glad about that. My brain's been through it. But let me tell you something. And I'm going to tell you, if your brain has been through it, you're still here. You can change how your mind works. You can get your life back and you can keep going. You can rewire your mind and you can renew your life. Choose one brave moment at a time. Just choose one stepping stone at a time. Take deep breaths. Breathing. The breathing exercises, they work. Okay? That's right, Margaret. Show your brain repeated proof that you're okay. Guys, I'm just enjoying this, and but wait, before I keep going, please subscribe to my YouTube account. I'm learning how to say that. I'm usually just on here to share, but my team asked me to remind you guys to just join my subscribe to my YouTube account. But I've enjoyed today. Next week, I don't know what it's going to be about. We always kind of wait until we get responses or emails from you guys to see what I'm going to talk about. But I'm just going to tell you right now, my name is Valerie R. Brooks, and this is me. I'm rewired, and I'm reborn. New beginnings and radical change. Make it a good one.